मूवी थी नायक, और उसमें वो एक दिन में ऐसे ऐसे ऑर्डर पास करता है, दिन भर 24 hours he passes so many orders that the whole city cleans up. And Trump seems to be doing something like that. I think he's taken a cue from Anil Kapoor.
Trump too is very different from Trump. He needed to lose 2020 for him to actually come back with a vision to clean the swamp, and now he's actually cleaning out the swamp.
Regarding Trump, that the main counter that people have been using, he himself is a criminal, he's done all these rapes and all that stuff.
But you tell me, if he had actually done rape for all the lawfare he has faced in the last 4 years, you think it wouldn't have come out? All of these people had consensual sex with him and then started extorting money from him. Does he sleep around? Sure. Is he cheating on his wife? Sure. We're derived from chimpanzees. Chimpanzees have huge... Why? Because they fertilize anything and everything they meet. So we do chimpanzee behavior.
But tell me, Elon Musk, how important was him coming on to Team Trump?
I don't think without Twitter, this election could have been won. But remember, the last election was also lost on Twitter. If you see a left-winger and a scorpion, don't kill the scorpion. The scorpion is a sweet animal. But leftist animals. But they were all giving George Soros and his son. But I'm talking metaphorically.
Okay.
Sundar Pichai is still playing these dirty games. They're artificially boosting people like Dhruv Rathi and...
Correct.
But you know, for all the amazing Indians we have, every big lump of shit in America is usually an Indian. जब खुद का पैसा आता है ना, then everybody turns into a capitalist. जब दूसरों का पैसा होता है, everybody is socialist. ए लाजवंती, तूने 10 रुपए दिए टमाटर के, 9 रुपए 50 का है, बाकी का 50 पैसा कहाँ है?
It was said that former US president falls off stage or something like that. Are they the truth? Before I get into the introduction of today's episode, I would love to thank you all for the amount of love you all have given us so far, especially in the 2 episodes of today's guest, Abhijit Iyer Mitra. The amount of love, comments, support, likes, subscriptions we got from his reels, his shorts in both the first 2 episodes were completely amazing. So thank you so much for that, because it truly motivates us to bring such kind of guests on the show and continue this show for the long run. So thank you for that truly. Now, for today's episode, we have in-depth discussed the Trump scene in America with the one and only Abhijit Iyer Mitra, because he has so many insights that the common people in India and America mostly don't. So to give you a small insight into what we spoke about Trump, we spoke about how he actually won the election, we spoke about what he's going to do after winning the election, and what all is left to talk about. See you guys there.
Namaste and welcome to this episode of the Oddcast Show. Today we have a very very exciting guest. पिछली बार भी ये तूफान की तरह आए, तूफान की तरह चले गए एक झटके में. इस बार भी वो आ रहे हैं, जा रहे हैं, हमें पता ही नहीं क्या हो रहा है. Welcome back to the show, Abhijit Iyer Mitra ji. For those who don't know who he is, not only is he the arch bitches of Mylapore, and he's also the India's representative for the Indian African community in America right now, thanks to the Trump administration.
Yes, I'm from Jamaica, and President Trump appointed me as the ambassador for Africa and Indian affairs.
How does it feel to be that?
Oh, very honored. Trump, the great friend.
Okay, great. So one of the things I had is एक movie थी जी.
No, wait. First, tell us your pronouns before we misgender you and offend you.
Most important.
Oh, the president has banned pronouns. We can't use them anymore.
Oh shit.
Oh, right.
I'm in an official position representing President Trump, you see. So I'll get sacked if I use pronouns now.
Okay. That's great.
But till few days ago, it was all allowed. It was rampant.
Till last month, it was allowed.
Yeah. So we're coming up to around a month of Trump now since he's taken office. And my first point was that एक movie थी नायक, जिसमें अनिल कपूर ने किरदार निभाया था ना, एंड ही बिकम्स एक दिन का सीएम. और उसमें वो एक दिन में ऐसे ऐसे ऑर्डर पास करता है, दिन भर 24 hours he passes so many orders that the whole city cleans up. And Trump seems to be doing something like that. I think he's taken a cue from Anil Kapoor. एंड वो कुछ तो कर रहा है, मतलब आते ही मास डिपोर्टेशन चालू हो गए, बॉर्डर पे उसने नेशनल इमरजेंसी डिक्लेयर कर दी, फिर उसने जेंडर्स बोल दिया कि 2 ही जेंडर हैं भाई, बाकी सब बकवास है. ही स्टॉप्ड ऑल दैट. USAID में उसने रेड लगा दी, कैश पटेल को बना दिया FBI का चीफ, बहुत सारी चेंजेस कर दी. सो व्हाट्स अप, लाइक व्हाट्स योर पॉइंट आउट हियर, लाइक व्हाट्स योर व्यू हियर?
So there are 2 things out here. Remember the last time Trump's slogan was clean the swamp. and he didn't clean the swamp, right? He needed to lose 2020 for him to actually come back with a vision to clean the swamp, and now he's actually cleaning out the swamp. So for 2024 to happen, 2020 had to happen, right? Otherwise, you won't get the president. Trump 2 is very different from Trump 1. Trump 1, of course, was completely sabotaged by Obama starting off all this bullshit, Russia collusion, Russia election interference and all that nonsense, right? Which he's no longer, I mean, nobody in America is buying that nonsense anymore. They tried, the New York Times again tried some Russia, this thing, 3 months back, and it just fell flat. Nobody was buying that story anymore. So now what's happening is the unfulfilled agenda of Trump 1 is being implemented in Trump 2. Number 1. Number 2, what's happening is, in addition to the agenda being fulfilled, he now knows Trump 1, he understood what the game was. He had 4 years to stew and understand how the media works, who funds the media. And, they require one big incident to happen. And because it's not a deep state in that sense, deep state is say Pakistan or Egypt, where, the military controls everything and it's one person passing the order or a oligopoly that passes the order and sab kuch ho jata hai. Here it is all congruent interests. So, it takes about a week for them to get their story in order, but he's not giving them that week. He waits for 1 or 2 days and then the second day there's another bang, new order that's passed. So even before they get their reaction to the first order, the second order has been passed. And by the time they've got the reaction to both, the third order has been passed. So see, they're not able to come back. The other thing that's happened is completely cut off their funding. Which means, all this nonsense of a so-called independent press after this USAID thing, we've seen every conspiracy theory we've had has come true. Right?
Literally, yeah.
Literally. So the thing now is that that the only difference between the truth and a conspiracy theory is time. Time proves the conspiracy theory to be correct, right? And he understands now how to play the Democrats. I still expect in about, say, a month or so, the Democrats will figure out how to come back. But till then, we've got a honeymoon period of a month.
You use the word clean the swamp. You use that phrase in that he's now, Trump administration 2 is now setting out to clean the swamp. Now, by the swamp, what do you mean by the swamp? Like what all is there in this swamp?
Look, the swamp is every country when it starts out, new systems, new everything, tends to be very clean, best of intentions
pure.
And whatever, pure. If things don't work, then corruption sets in much earlier. If things work, say about 10 to 12 years, the corruption sets in and you need to clean house. This system has been so rotten for the last 40, 50 years now without cleaning house that it had become a swamp. Let me give you a simple example. There are two people within the Democratic universe who show you there is nothing in between out here. They represent the two extremes of the Democrats. One is Samantha Powers, USAID ki director. In March 2021, when she got her job, she was worth about $16.5 million. By the end of her 4-year term, she was worth $30 million.
That's a net worth.
Net worth.
That's mad.
It's mad. But she got it on a salary of $180,000 a year.
That's even more mad.
That's even more mad. So how do you become like that, right? Second is Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez.
AOC.
Or what somebody calls her occasional cortex. So Miss Occasional Cortex, she gets a salary of a congressman of $174,000 per year. Guess how much she's worth?
Millions,
Net
I'm
worth.
guessing.
Net worth. Now, she became a congresswoman in January 2019. Her total pay, $174,000 per year, totals $1.044 million.
Damn.
Yeah. But Guess how much her net worth is? $43,000.
That's it.
So you're either a crook, a corrupt crook, or you're a complete bankrupt loser. ठीक है?
Which is the broad spectrum they have.
And this is what the Democrats want to do to you. They want to be corrupt and crooked, and they want to reduce you to bankruptcy. ठीक है? That is the essence of what is happening out there. ठीक है? So Clean the Swamp was getting rid of all this nonsense. And by the way, the Republicans are also completely corrupt. It's just that they're shitting their pants because of Trump, because they realize every time Trump comes, they can't win a primary.
Right.
So they have to listen to their own voters. And it's voters in every single state who are giving Trump resounding mandates.
But why?
Because clearly the people want to change. And see, this is a true democracy where people want to change, the change happens. Idhar kai ka democracy hai. Like if you actually, have you ever had a real poll in the Congress party?
Never.
And even if you have a real poll, it doesn't matter because the Gandhis will always control the power. When Kharge comes into a room where there's only one chair at the head, he starts looking around everywhere else, waiting for another chair to be put there so that Rahul Gandhi can sit next to him.
Right.
So this kind of thing, he's finally cleaning the swamp. He doesn't say clean the swamp anymore, but he's cleaning the swamp.
But he's doing it at a breakneck speed, like a blitzkrieg, like you said, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 orders in a row, one after another. So my question here is that, now Modi is in Modi 3. He's in the third term. When are we cleaning the swamp?
Different geographies, different realities. Personally, I would have preferred it had this been done, because trust me, we really need to clean the swamp.
Absolutely.
The amount of government wastage. Let me give you one simple figure. It's not government wastage, it's general wastage. Stolen energy in India today is 16 billion with a B for Buffalo, dollars per year.
Dollars per year.
That's enough to build 4 2,000 megawatt nuclear reactors every year.
That's insane.
Yeah. And that is why no energy operator even wants to come on a build to operate basis and set up anything out here. Okay. So we really need to get the house in order. But where do you start? Ultimately, he knows how to win elections more than we do. We can do all the armchair generaling we want.
Right.
But ultimately, he's got to fight the election and win the election. I think in a way he kind of started, but the real problem's always been the bureaucracy, which unfortunately he loves. But look, he knows the politics of it. I don't know. Would I have wished that this had happened? Yes. But it hasn't.
So US aid, is that the right pronunciation of USAID or is it something else?
I call it US AIDS because it just spreads. I mean, HIV takes a while to become full-blown AIDS.
Okay.
And
but they've done it quite fast.
It won't become AIDS if you take retrovirals. US AIDS is when you are full-on like having unprotected sex without retrovirals.
Damn. But one of the stats I read today in the paper was that Trump has come in and within less than 2 weeks, he's fired out of the 14,000 employees that were working at USAID. He's fired 13,706. So
Something
he
like that.
says that 294 are
only
enough.
294 are required.
Right.
The rest are not required.
So what was up there? This was like a mass cesspool.
In addition to that, he's offered a golden handshake to 40,000 more federal employees, which they've challenged in court. You look at it, USAID, why do you need 14,000 people? Because if you're in the business of distributing money, now tell me something, if USAID, now this whack job Samantha Power, she's come out and said, I've been talking to all these people and they're crying because, in addition to meet their mortgages, they're worried about the people whose lives they touched, who they made a difference for. And they don't know if they're going to get a meal tomorrow. And have you noticed one thing? There is not one head of state, not one head of government, not one person in a foreign country who's been captured on TV saying, oh, USAID going is such a disaster for us. Why is that? Because USAID wasn't doing any goddamn aid. They were doing AIDS. They were spreading AIDS. They were propagating a tranny opera in Guatemala.
What?
Yeah. Tell me how does
opera,
having
tranny opera.
how does having a tranny opera in Guatemala further American interests? For that matter, how does it further Guatemalan interests? Tell me that. They put in $500,000 to promote atheism in Nepal.
What kind of nonsense is this?
How does that further American interests? They put in more than $1 million in a school in Madras called St. Patrick's Academy, Christian school, for computer labs and things like that. So, इधर Christian बनो, उधर Hindu state में atheist बनो, Hindu state में Christian बनो,
और Christian
sorry,
state में क्या
secular
कर?
state में Christian, secular state में Christian बनो, Hindu state में atheist बनो. So,
मतलब ये सब चल रहा था.
ये सब चल रहा था. How do you pay? I think it was the Department of Energy, no, some other department that they found that was paying Politico $8 million for just 37 subscriptions.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy, man. I mean, like,
so it's clearly not a subscription.
also,
right?
the other stat I read was that they were funding 6,200 journalists world over. Why
Yes.
were they funding journalists?
Exactly. Why are they funding journalists? They're funding the BBC. I want to see who all from India come out in that list.
वो list तो बाहर आएगी.
But have you noticed the entire Indian left-wing media is absolutely ekdam chup chap? Why? Why do you think that is?
You tell me.
किसी के tweet timeline पे कुछ नहीं हो रहा है. Well, I don't want to get sued or anything, but you know.
If you take names, then.
Yes.
Right.
But I'm not taking names.
Right.
But from what I've heard, there's a fellow in the Delhi media whose face kind of looks like an inverted scrotum.
Okay.
So if you take a human scrotum and turn it upside down, he kind of looks like that.
I wonder, really.
And that fellow's absolutely quiet. I wonder why.
फट गई है.
फट गई. I heard he left large brown patches on his chair
मतलब अच्छा
and on
इतनी
his
फट गई.
bed. So I don't know. I don't know.
And there are so many other things that he's doing, and he's just doing it like he's just saying that, hey, I already told you that I'm going to do all this.
Exactly.
यही तो मैंने कहा था मैं कर रहा हूँ.
He promised this before the election. It's not
Correct.
like he promised this after the election.
Yeah, this is like in his manifesto.
Exactly.
He said कि मैं तो करूँगा.
He tied up with Elon Musk. He said it in his election manifesto, as opposed to people like Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, who are basically short of, I'm sorry to use the word, but they were all giving George Soros and his son. No, they were.
Really?
I'm talking metaphorically. They were metaphorically fellating Alex Soros and George Soros. And I don't know how a 94-year-old man gets it up, but apparently he did. But this guy is interfering across the board in politics and policy making. That is perfectly legit, even though he doesn't appear on any Democrat. This is a voted on policy change. George and Alex Soros are not voted on policy changes. And mind you, USAID was interfering in American politics. They were funding the same super fund that George Soros set up to fund prosecutors who would go soft on crime in New York and places like that. Right? Millions of dollars. How is USAID? How does sponsoring soft on crime prosecutors help America? And it's called international development. How is America international?
Correct.
So they've done, and by the way, this could have gone a very different way if they had actually accepted congressional subpoenas, not evaded answers, and provided all the information that was asked for.
Right.
It's gone down in a nasty way precisely because they refused to do that. Why does an agency for international development have classified documents?
Right.
And they've come out. Elon Musk himself has come out and said that they were behind the coup in Bangladesh now, right? So it's very clear. It's as clear as night and day.
You know, he's got a lot of questions on, how Elon Musk buying Twitter impacted these elections, etc. The ban on TikTok, blah, blah, blah. Barron Trump coming in and getting, the senior Trump onto so many podcasts like Joe Rogan, etc. But I just have one question before that. Last time when we met and we did a podcast, we talked about wokeism. And like you mentioned that, okay, how wokeism spread from America essentially.
We're from
And
France. It
from France,
originated in
it
France
originated
to
in France,
America.
and it
Yeah.
came to America and found a place where
So-
it could prosper.
So, it's like this. Wokeism originated in France.
Correct.
But America spread it globally.
Right.
Just like Italian food was popularized by America.
Right.
Italy did not popularize Italian food.
Right.
We know meatball subs, we know pizza because of America, not because of Italy.
Right.
Right. So it's like that.
So my question here is that, jaise the first thing he came out and said, Donald Trump, on January 20th, when he took oath and he took to office, he said there are only two genders. I'm de-recognizing all these other 60, 70, 80 genders जो भी बना रखे थे इन्होंने, ये pansexual, gender fluid, this, that, वो सब बंद करा दिया उसने. Is this the death knell for wokeism world over?
I think it is.
It is?
I think it is. To be fair, I never thought we'd see the end of wokeism because their institutional capture was so deep. We discussed this.
Exactly,
remember?
yeah.
It's also so widespread.
It
that
is so
I
widespread.
was scared.
It
Like,
was
in
both
your face.
depth and scope.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I never thought it was going to happen. So for him to come and do this, he's collapsed the funding for it. Most of the people behind that are going to go to jail for misappropriation. The universities, if they stick with it, are going to face very harsh penalties. The problem is, because of intersectionality, where a gay person had to support a Palestinian who would throw him off a roof because they're both allegedly oppressed communities. They participated in those LGBTQ protests, and now they're obliged by by his laws to be kicked out of university or whatever. They themselves have put their students in the firing line, right? So all of these things are going to come down. Companies are going to be very scared of sponsoring DEI and shit. So you're seeing the entire grift come apart. Today, as of now, nobody knows where this fellow Ibrahim Kendi is. Right? Biggest grifter around. He used to write, his children's books. मैं अपने बच्चों को भी ना दूं ऐसे घटिया children's book. ठीक है? Like, listen, my dog has higher literacy than his children's books. His adult books also my dogs can understand. Not that they agree with it, but anyway. I've brought
Crazy
my dogs
stuff.
up very well.
So according to you, like, this is definitely the death knell for wokeism everywhere,
This is.
right?
See, this is the
And
death
that's a
knell
good
for
thing.
wokeism. Wokeism is the current manifestation of the attack of the international left. The international left is a disease. They're a vicious, vitriolic virus that, and like all viruses, they mutate and come back as something else. So we have to keep a watch out for what they mutate into and come back as.
What do you think?
I don't know. The left is very sneaky, they get in where you least see it and least expect it.
So actually, before we go a little deeper into the subject, I just wanted to ask about two things that happened before Trump came back. One, I believe, was due to the Democratic Party, and one was because of Trump himself. Number one is this rule that's, I think, in California, and as far as I've understood, it's a $950 rule where you can't really go and file a complaint unless you have been robbed for something above $950.
Correct.
As far as I've understood.
Yes.
As a store or something.
And the second thing is abortion. There's a lot of heat on the internet regarding that. Even now, obviously, it's lesser than when it first happened. So, could you break this down?
Okay,
Please?
so I'll tell you what. Abortion is the classic case of too much push by the right, resulting in too much pushback by the left, resulting in too much pushback from the right.
Right.
Okay. I think abortion is a very complicated issue. I have always been pro-abortion.
Mhm.
Except, my friend in Australia, she wanted support when she went for it.
Okay.
And I didn't feel good about it.
Okay.
Okay.
Like you didn't feel good that she was going for it.
I didn't feel comfortable. I didn't tell her that. But
Right.
because I was there to support her. She's my friend. Okay.
Right.
It's not my place to give her a moral lecture. She wants me for emotional support, not to give her a moral lecture.
Sure.
And I don't impose my morality on other people.
Okay.
So I've never told her that anyway. But I didn't feel good about it at the end of it. I was quite disturbed. So, I accept that there has to be a right to abort. Okay. If the pregnancy is going to result in a defective child horribly, as in they can't lead their lives normally at all.
Or the pregnancy was caused due to rape or whatever.
Or rape. I mean, I'm still, but उसमें बच्चे का क्या कसूर है? You understand? I believe it needs to be left to the mother.
Yeah.
Okay. She is the best decider of what she wants or what she does not want. My thing is the science needs to establish at what point does the embryo become sentient. Okay. Because the entire thing is, like, if you talk to a hardcore Christian, they'll tell you from the moment the little flagella enters the egg, it is sacred. It is a human being.
Okay.
Okay. For me, sentience is the one that marks it. At what point is that embryo fully aware and it is no longer an embryo, it is a baby? Okay. I think that is where the scientific inquiry needs to be to, other than the mother's health. So, and I absolutely oppose sex determinative abortion. Okay. So the Indian laws on that is very, very good. The downside is you can't tell if there's going to be damage and whatever to the this thing. The problem is the right in America legislated it so far that the pushback from the left was enormous.
So you're saying
Where there
that
were
was
actual cases of women having to go to these backdoor operations and dying because of sepsis and whatever. Or whatever. And then there was a pushback. And the pushback became so much that they were hosting abortion parties, celebrating an abortion and shit like that. And so now when you take it that far, you could have settled it at a median point. You agree that the theological and the philosophical question is, at what point does the embryo become sentient? Okay. That is how you break ground on this. Till it is sentient, the right of the mother overtakes the right of the embryo. The moment that embryo graduates to baby, the right of the baby is equal to that of the mother. Okay. Now, this is a classic case of push too much, push back too much. It's something in India, it's not an issue at all. It's an issue in America. And it's very curious, you know, that the right wing that says get out of people's lives wants to legislate the most intimate part of a woman's body, which is why I'm like, I don't feel good about abortion. But the point is, if you belong to a thing that each individual has the right to choose, it extends up to your vagina as well, whether the right in America likes it or not. What is the first part of the question?
the $950 one in
The $950. Look, that was a classic case in California. You're so pampered. The police decided it wasn't worth their time or money or effort to investigate a case under $950.
But why?
Classic. It's a financial thing. They wanted money for wasting and stealing and whatever in other things. The real reason was actually quite clear. You know, small criminality ultimately, going on forgiving small criminality leads to greater criminality later on. Because it's a behavioral pattern.
Right.
And it was basically to create more and more and more criminals. Start small, graduate. It was a internship program.
Like a compound
It was a
effect.
criminality internship program, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because then when law and order gets out of hand, the government can say we need more control over you. Okay. So you create the problem, then you create the solution to the problem.
And make money out of it.
And make money. Make lots of it. They'll spend... do you know the biggest scam? Indians don't realize this in the last 10 years. How old are you now, Suved?
19.
19, na? So at 9, you wouldn't have remembered this, but 10 years back, the biggest business to be in India was India-Pakistan Track 2.
What?
Yeah, India-Pakistan Track 2 dialogue. They would meet in Dubai, in Rome, in Vienna, in Seville, in Barcelona, at the finest 5-star hotel around. जिसको भी Maldives, जिसको जहाँ holiday करना पड़ता था Ritz-Carlton में या Marriott में or whatever, they used to go there and do these track tours.
Okay.
They used to bullshit all day long.
Okay.
Okay.
And they used to get paid for it.
And they used to get paid for it. And the government used to dole out huge quantities of money for this.
They would roll
Not
out the
just
red
our
carpet.
government, by the way. The British used to sponsor one thing. They still sponsor it. It's called what? Chow Praya Dialogue or some shit like
Acha.
that. Haan.
But why?
Faltugiri.
It's money.
Money.
You get money, they get money, everybody gets money. Everybody gets kickbacks. There was one being done in Nepal. South Asian something, sponsored by the Germans, by conservative Germans, by the way, the Konrad Adenauer Stiftung. Then there was some bullshit being done in Sri Lanka about this. There was other bullshit being done in Dubai and all of that. I know all these people who used to go for all these track tours. And it was all, the discussion always was, where do we want to holiday next?
Acha.
Okay. So it was living off taxpayer money, not just the Indian taxpayer, American, British, German, Indian taxpayer money. To do all this, Times of India, Jain Brothers started Aman Ki Tamasha. You remember Aman Ki Tamasha?
Yeah, sort of vaguely, yeah.
And you know what Aman Ki Tamasha is? They'd spent crores of money getting all these artists from this and that side. वो इतने घटिया आर्टिस्ट होती थे, उनके गाने में और मेरे पाद में कोई डिफरेंस ही नहीं होता. Whole thing about and there was one Chudel who came there who was singing like, bhai ye gana hai. I don't know if it was a man or a woman, and she was like, and she was looking like this with a dupatta around her. I don't know what. ऐसे गाती थी. No, she was literally singing like this. I was like, what is this? Is she having an epileptic seizure on TV?
But what exactly was this? Was this like, is that
Aman
actually
Ki
how
Tamasha.
she...
This was another money-making thing.
This was
no?
Aman Ki Tamasha.
No, but is this actually how she sings or like what?
Yeah, she actually sings like she's having an epileptic fit.
I mean, like, I guess the point being that, the kind of stuff they were getting there
And
the
it
kind
was
of money
all,
they were paying
it
for.
was all, everybody going, sitting in these 5-star hotels, eating now, these people don't have good taste. They think in a 5-star hotel, if you're paying 5,000 rupees for what you get for 500 rupees on the street side, the quality has miraculously improved.
Improved, exactly.
All they do in the 5-star hotel is they go out to that same guy, 500 rupees ka udhar lete hain, and for good measure, that dhaba wala will do thoo in there. Ye lo sir, 5,000 rupees. And they would serve that to you. ठीक है ना?
You exposed the model of the 5-star hotels here now.
Yeah, bhai, 5-star hotel, is it worth eating at a 5-star hotel today? There is absolutely, in Thailand, I will say 100%. In India, there is not one 5-star restaurant that is worth the money you're paying. Not one. Zero price point correlation. The only people who go to 5-star hotels are वो देखकर ही घोंचू लग रहे हैं. नालायक हो तुम, माँ बाप ने पैसा बनाया, तुमने तो कुछ कमाया ही नहीं है अपनी जिंदगी में, इसीलिए माँ बाप का पैसा ये खत्म करने के लिए तुम 5-star होटल जा रहे हो. And the second type of people who go there are wannabes, like the Narayana Murtis. They've just suddenly come into lots of money and they're like, oh, Mirko, I want to show off. Simple Sudha will eat with simple spoon, but I can't go to Sagar and eat bisi bele bhat with a spoon. They'll all laugh at me. So Simple Sudha will go to Taj Bangalore and eat khichdi with bisi bele bhat with a spoon, and everybody with silver spoon. And everybody will be, yo, she's eating with spoon bisi bele bhat. Social climbers and parvenus, that's all you get out there. So this is a chronic disease out there. What do? It was an industry, bro.
Because when it...
There were hundreds of crores being spent, which would all go into the pockets of all these people.
Right.
And all these Track-2 walas used to drive around in Mercedes and BMWs and Audis. Un dino mein Audi nahi aaya tha, but anyway, whatever.
So actually the reason I had heard of when this first happened was that because it's too expensive for them, or because the amount of money they'll be spending to investigate that kind of robbery below $950 is more than the...
That is the official reason, which is what I said. But the reality was to increase the amount of criminality. Then you can set up all these NGOs to deal with the criminality. You siphon off money through there.
And keep making more and more and more money.
Exactly. Right. So it's very clear.
So then, if they really wanted so much money, then why didn't they do that over all the states instead of just California? That's as far as I know.
California, because it became a uniparty state.
Okay.
It was essentially a dictatorship.
Okay.
A democratic dictatorship, because no matter how hard the Republicans tried, there's only one or two counties where the Republicans, Orange County is one of those counties that will always vote Republican, right?
Right.
There'll be one or two more counties that vote Republican. So out of the 54 congressmen from California, I think only 6 or 8 are Republicans. The rest are always overwhelmingly.
So it's a complete majority.
It's a New York and California. Complete monopolies, and they've both gone mad. At least New York has some balance because they vote for a Republican governor every now and then
Okay.
to keep all this nonsense under check. In California, there is zero check and balance. Right? This is what happens with a one-party state.
Right. Okay. Now, coming back to the present with Trump, what do you think of him taking on so many different ways of sort of reaching out to people to vote for him? Because when I was in America, there was such a bad reputation of him, despite being in a red state. I was in Indiana at that time. And over there, a lot of girls were crying and they were saying, no, we don't want Trump back. We don't want Trump back. And I said, why? So the main reason was obviously abortion. Second reason was that they do not pay women as much as men, apparently, for I don't know what reason. And
But they were happy with men in women's sports. They were happy going into the boxing ring and getting bashed up by men.
They were happy with all that.
They were happy with men going to women's toilets.
Yeah.
And they were very respectful of that fact. It's not that they were happy, they were respectful. For example, if somebody made fun of somebody who did that, like a man going into women's sport, they'll be like, why can't you just respect his trauma? So
Bhai, main jhapda maar dun.
so my question is that what are your thoughts on Trump taking on so many new mediums of reaching out to the youth, like getting on the Joe Rogan podcast? Like, do you see podcasts as like a really good measure
So
as to why?
I think this was Barron Trump's idea.
Yeah.
Because they had hit a roadblock because the mainstream media was so completely hostile to him, except say for Fox. But that's one outlet. So two things played a role out here. One was Elon Musk buying Twitter.
Yeah.
And making it genuinely free. And it's working as well, if not better than before.
Okay.
With 1/10 the employees.
With less than 1/10 the employees. It's more profitable than ever before. It is, despite all the attempts at, deplatforming it, de-advertising it, all of that failed. And he's brought in genuine free speech. So you'll get racists out there, kuch nahi hota hai, which I'm fine with. Because, if a leftist gets to be a whack job, an extreme right nut job also gets to be a whack job. So everybody can be a whack job out on Twitter today, which is exactly what Twitter should have always been. Okay, no nanny state. And I'm more than happy to have loony left on there. And I accept the ugliness of the loony right as well. Okay? Fine. Let everything be clear to everybody. No, I don't need to be, I'm a 46-year-old man. I don't need to be babysat. You're 19 and I don't think you need to be babysat because we've always had mature conversations with each other. Okay? I'm not going to tell you, uncle, ये बच्चे कैसे पैदा होते हैं? बेटा, वो पता है, वो भगवान जी आते हैं और वो ना शहद को नींबू के जूस में मिला के देते हैं कन्या को और फिर बच्चा पैदा होता है ना? तो so this is no, but this happens, bro. You're laughing, but you know. So in Tamil movies, how this was shown.
Yeah.
Okay. So in Tamil movies, there'll always be this really hairy, very ugly-looking hero. Okay, and with hair like this, by the way, and he'll always be giving really slimy, shady looks. So he'll be like to the girl, and the girl would be giving these really slutty looks. She'll be like. Mama. There you marry the mama, na? So it's like, mama. So whatever. And then the shot would shift under the table where the super hairy legs, you don't know if it's a human being or a bear, would suddenly lift the skirt of the, and no major lifting. It'll only touch the sort of ankle of the girl. Okay? Next thing you know, it'll focus on two sunflowers going crisscross in the wind,
or
and two birds chirping with each other, two squirrels, and the next thing you know, she's pregnant. Now, we don't have to have conversations like that, right?
Yeah.
So the problem here is you don't need that. So this was one thing that happened. The second thing that happened was Barron Trump said, look, all the kids, they're tired of these TV talking points because these are all paid guys. It's fake.
It's fixed.
It's fixed.
They're aware of that. That's the main
It's like
part.
what NDTV used to do. You remember there used to be
Yeah.
a program called Left, Right and Center.
Yes,
and this and that.
yes, I remember.
There would be one guy from the right
Hmm.
who was invariably the most inarticulate idiot they could find.
Correct.
They would never get any of the articulate guys. And the centrist would be a communist. The audience would be handpicked to be all left-wing. So it would be out of 100 minutes, 97 minutes would be all heavy left.
Yeah.
3 minutes would be inarticulate right.
Right.
So that is how it was being set up. So what he did was he started going to all these podcasts, which anyway are much more popular because anybody who wants to get in-depth into anything goes and listens to a podcast these days, right? In America, it's mostly listening to it on your car because it's a commuting society. You listen to it on your car, on Spotify, whatever.
Sure.
And it worked off brilliantly because these are not staged conversations, which is why Kamala did not do the Joe Rogan podcast. She would only do interviews with mainstream media. And
Planned
she did
interviews.
that Beyonce event.
Planned interviews.
She did Oprah Winfrey where she had to pay some what?
The View. No,
Huh.
which is that? There was another one, which is a mad channel called The View,
No,
where they have these guys.
Did she appear?
That's
on The View?
Whoopi Goldberg on The
Whoopi
View.
Goldberg and that all kinds of weird.
She did it on
Joy
Oprah.
Behar,
Oprah
Whoopi Goldberg
also
and all
she
those
did it,
people.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
I think she had also paid off Taylor Swift, right, to say something.
She paid off Oprah Winfrey
Okay.
to do one.
Yeah.
Interview. And she paid off Al Sharpton.
Okay.
Absolute horrible race baiting fraud that he is. That's all she could do. She didn't have the guts to come on, say, Lex Friedman on Joe Rogan, on any of these. And her staff lied and said, we didn't want to do Joe Rogan because he lied to us about Donald Trump coming. Donald Trump was announced long back. It was public he was
I
gonna come and
heard.
do
I
the
heard
thing.
about that. Yes.
So, people pick up on these things.
But even Joe Rogan was a left winger, a complete leftist.
I was a communist.
Yeah,
bro.
I know. You told us. Yeah.
Forget being left wing. I was
Yeah, so
hardcore
what
communist.
happens? Like what happens?
I
to-
wanted to eliminate the entire elites and create the dictatorship of the proletariat. What bullshit? I've forgotten my bullshit now. I don't speak
But मेरे को
bullshit
एक बात
anymore.
बताइए कि जो left wingers हैं, a lot of them, like there are so many in India itself whom we know, have turned completely to the right wing, and in America, Joe Rogan is a outstanding example.
Yeah.
Like he himself says, I was a complete this thing. So what happens? Like why? And like you yourself, you said that you were in that
Boss,
direction.
puberty happens. Puberty happens.
What's that got to do?
Everything, you become an adult. What is becoming an adult? One is, puberty setting in. The second is becoming financially independent and financially responsible. As long it is mummy papa ka money, you're like, हाँ मेरे को Mercedes चाहिए. And thank you, by the way. I was promised a Mercedes. I was promised a Ferrari. Yeah, I was promised a Ferrari F40 for doing this podcast, by the way. And जब तक आपका पैसा है, I will spend it on Ferrari F40, Mercedes, or as we call it in Punjabi, मरी सड़ी भैंस, and all kinds of other things. जब खुद का पैसा आ जाता है ना, तब it's
पड़
like,
जाती है.
ए लाजवंती, तूने 10 रुपए दिए टमाटर के, 9 रुपए 50 का है, बाकी का 50 पैसा कहाँ है?
Correct.
ठीक है. जब खुद का पैसा आता है ना, then everybody turns into a capitalist. जब दूसरों का पैसा होता है, everybody is socialist. ठीक है. That this is exactly. So these people, they have been so mollycoddled. They have never reached mental adulthood. And what is amazing is out of all this dreary nonsense that we're seeing, it is actually the kids, the latest generation of kids, the earliest voters who have turned so decisively for Trump because they saw this mollycoddling. They saw the extended infancy extend, not childhood. Infancy is extending to 50, 60 years of your life, which has been changed completely because of this latest generation. I forget what the gens are, boomer.
Gen Z and all that. No, अभी तो Gen Z चल रहा है इनका.
And these guys are very pro-Trump and they don't want interference in they don't want to be mollycoddled. So it's a very good thing. So, this is the concept of pankaja that we have. Pankaja means is something that grows out of muck. But something so beautiful grows. So out of the muck of all this mollycoddling and the previous generations, this Gen Z has come out pure like a lotus.
Because they're listening to both sides, right? The previous generation grew up listening to only one side of the story.
Exactly.
Like you mentioned NDTV
Exactly.
earlier in India as
Yeah.
an example.
Yeah.
पहले वहाँ BBC, CNE ये सब
और
चलता था.
एनडीटीवी का मॉडल क्या था कि भाई हर बाबू के बच्चे को जॉब दे दो तो हर बाबू को हमारे को
सलाम ठोकना पड़ेगा.
सलाम ठोकना पड़ेगा. Right.
Right.
So, sorry, what was the second part of your question?
No, I was gonna ask that right now, couple of years back, Modi ji had banned TikTok in India, and then Trump has done the same in America.
He's
so,
planning
like,
to do the same.
Yeah, like what's up with this?
So, first we were very happy when TikTok was banned.
Yeah.
Because the kind of chichoras that were going around torturing dogs and cats and killing them on was insane. That said, TikTok was much better than Facebook or Twitter at that time, Jack Dorsey Twitter. Anything the government said had to be removed was removed. Okay. There was no pushback or trying to be some free speech warrior or anything like that. They were actually a fairly good platform. The issue why we wanted TikTok banned, it was sad that Galwan had to happen for it to get, Doklam had to happen for it to get banned, was the fact that in the Chinese basic IT law, I think it's clause 10 out there, all Chinese companies have to store data and share it with the government when asked to do so. So understand, if there is any Chinese app on your computer, on your phone or whatever device, PED, or if you have a Chinese car, an MG or a BYD, remember what makes those cars smart is that they're surveilling you on the inside, they're surveilling the traffic outside. They're taking pictures when it drives through sensitive areas and shit like that. If you are bonking your mistress in the car, you think nobody's looking at you, but the car is looking at you.
All right.
And all of it is being there's no guarantee that somebody will manage to scan it and get it out. But it is all going to Beijing. It is stored in Beijing, and it will be used against you as and when Chinese AI gets smart enough to be able to identify what is required from who, where. Okay. That is why it had to go out of India. Now, Trump has done it for the best reasons, which is data security. But I'm glad we did it before because we had been either data security ka koi concept hi nahi hai. Right. I was looking at all these, these Fitbit track. I don't know what.
Fitbit.
That thing. They were taking smartwatches inside the goddamn nuclear submarine where you're not allowed to take anything electronic inside. You're not even allowed to bring it into the dock inside. And the entire nuclear submarine docks were full of crossing lines of Fitbit ka kya hai, ye hai, wo hai.
It's a data security issue. It's massive.
It's a massive data security
You're on nuclear
issue.
sub, man. I mean, it's not a joke.
It's not a joke. One USB stick going in there or one Bluetooth or something. I don't know if there's a Wi-Fi, some kind of wireless, whatever. Imagine if there is a wireless, anything that goes in there, that is you've put a virus. This is exactly how that, what was that virus that infected the Iranian nuclear installations?
Yeah. There was some crazy virus that came in.
Stuxnet.
Right.
This is how it got in because you didn't have data security. Okay, it actually went and it came to Indian reactors because we don't have data security, and some common contractor had transferred some USB drive which then infected the entire Indian system. Not the entire, but some. We're actually good with our nuclear reactors because we air gap the administrative part from the actual operational nuclear part. So it's this is what was behind the TikTok ban. And he is like, fine. In America, there's no such thing as you're finished. Everybody gets a second, third, fourth chance. So he's like, fine, you can stay here. The problem is the data storage in China. So what you do is you have to sell yourself to an American company. So that you don't have to follow Chinese data law. The data will be stored here.
Then it's in their hands then.
And it's in American hands then.
Right.
Elon bhai ke to maje ho gaye fir to.
Elon ka to maje ho gaya.
But what are your thoughts on people who are my age? And like you said that they want to hear both sides and they don't want to be mollycoddled and all that stuff. But there are some that still want to be because there's obviously two sides to every coin. But they, like on the day Trump was announced that he's won this time, I saw a lot of people in Pune writing that it's so depressing that the world has to look up to people like Trump, Elon Musk, and Joe Rogan now.
Oh shit!
So
I can't wait for your answer.
like what do you have to say to them?
Repeat. Kya? Who was saying?
From where do you
People in
want to repeat?
Pune
People in
were very
Pune
concerned कि Trump आ गया.
No, they were writing that it's so depressing that the world now has to look up to people like Elon Musk, Donald Trump, and Joe Rogan.
Who in Pune was writing this crap?
Many people,
Lot of people that I
No,
know.
lot of people.
lot of the
माने कौन?
lefties.
अच्छा,
lefties.
भाई lefty पागल होते हैं.
No, not lefties. People my age who have been.
Listen, you hit puberty, bro. They have
They
not
didn't.
hit puberty.
Hmm.
Just make a list of that. We'll put it on shadi.com that these people, अगर तुम इनसे शादी करोगे तुम्हारा बच्चा retard पैदा होगा. अरे, it's the truth. Why are you laughing?
That's why I'm laughing.
It's
the way you
genetic
say.
retardation that's passing on. It's a very serious thing. बेचारी लड़की should not, this is like, all those horrible gay guys who go and marry लड़की क्योंकि दहेज चाहिए and all of that. मम्मी पापा को दिखाना है बच्चा चाहिए and औरत का ये खराब कर देते हैं. साले retard लोग शादी करेंगे बेचारी लड़की से, बच्चे भी साले सब ये retard बच्चे निकलेंगे. It's child abuse, bro. You make a list and give it to me. I'll send it to the वो child commission क्या है? वो protecting child this thing. Yeah. You can't do all of this.
But tell me, Elon Musk. I mean, we've always admired Elon Musk as a businessman, as an entrepreneur, etc. And I think he's going to become the world's first trillionaire soon. How important was him coming on to
Board
Team
with
Trump.
Trump, basically.
Team Trump? How
Huge.
important was that?
Huge. I don't think without Twitter, this election could have been won. But remember, the last election was also lost on Twitter
But that's
because
the
of Jack Dorsey and
Hmm.
doing all the interference.
And
right?
that Vijaya Gadde was also
Vijaya
there, right?
Gadde is an absolute, I don't know why, but for all the amazing Indians we have, every big lump of shit in America is usually an Indian,
Hmm.
right?
Also.
I mean, the biggest lumps of shit are Indian, unfortunately, whether you like it or not. Hathi size ka
Hmm.
गिरता है. So, it's like, and Vijay Gadde is pure trash. I mean, she's trash of the worst possible kind. But the way that election, his last tweet was, do not go into Capitol, do not do this, do not do that. They cited it as incitement and locked him out of his account and deleted
Correct.
that tweet.
Yeah.
Right? Jack Dorsey needs to be in jail. Vijaya Gadde needs to be in goddamn solitary confinement. Okay, that was outright business interfering in politics. Now, what has happened is, all of that is gone, almost. But it was so crucial and Elon did it purely for philanthropic purposes, that it's become profitable. Today, Twitter debt is selling for 97 on the dollar. It has never sold for 97 on the
That's
dollar.
crazy. That's mad.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So, it's damn, man. Without Elon, it couldn't have been done.
But other than that, other than him buying Twitter, what else why would him being part of Team Trump help Trump? Other than the Twitter acquisition?
Because it was a very important source of alternative news.
Hmm.
And Twitter is something unlike news where everything is editorialized.
Hmm.
Twitter is direct. You're talking directly to your followers. You can interact with people. जब मेरे 2-3 हजार followers थे, I used to interact a lot with my followers. I used to reply to every DM and everything. Now I just can't. ठीक है? But if something interesting comes up, or if I pick a bakra to pick on that particular day, I know you two are vegetarian, but I like roasting bakra. So
We know your favorite bakra.
I mean, I have lots of favorite bakras. It's so direct. And the kind of views you're getting on Twitter, if you put up a video on Twitter, you're getting 10-12 million views, which you don't get on YouTube. You don't even get it on news channels, bro. Like, so, and imagine why Elon came onto the Trump wagon. It's because of his trans daughter, who had been brainwashed so badly. She has disowned her father, disassociated from her father.
He also said that, she's dead for him or something like that. He also tweeted that out, I think.
No, she said he is dead for her.
Okay.
He still loves her a lot. He wants her back. And he blames the left for doing this. Now, let me tell you, being a gay guy, I didn't know as a kid. Like, I thought I was a girl. Okay. And my mom was like, so I was telling my mom, why didn't you give birth to me as a girl? So he's like, we could have made you a girl. It was just involved, grinding green chilies and putting it in your eyes, and then you would have turned into a girl. She's like, so I was like, you should have done it then. Then I went and put green chilies in my eyes. It caused serious damage. You know that?
I didn't know that. Really?
Yeah. Now I'm now as an adult, I mean, by the time I was 17, 18, 19, 20, I was perfectly comfortable being a guy. Right? But at that time as a kid, when you don't understand what you're going through, when you're most vulnerable to go and do this kind of shit, gaslight them into going for sex change operations.
Puberty blockers. Consuming puberty blockers.
And shit like that. People need to be in jail for this. People need to be put on the electric chair or hanged for this kind of... It is child abuse. It is outright child abuse.
Absolutely. I agree with that.
And so it was a classic case. You remember how in abortion it was overreach by the right, which led to overreach by the left?
Yeah, this is the exact opposite.
This is the exact opposite. This was overreach by the left.
Right.
Which led to... So, the left is very good at scoring own goals.
Right. But speaking of overreach by the left over the right and so much hate that you mentioned for Trump before, I wanted to just make sure that some things are they the truth or are they myths? Number one is that when Elon Musk was tweeting in favor of Trump before the elections to sort of, I don't know, influence people to vote for him or whatever, he had just written Donald on Google.
Yeah.
And you know how Google gives it suggestions and stuff. Over there, everything came except for Trump. Over there, it came duck. It came, I don't know what else came.
DuckDuckGo and everything came.
Yeah.
But
is that true?
So Sundar Pichai was completely manipulating it.
Okay.
Sundar Pichai is still playing these dirty games. You know, the Google phone, which gets the made in India exemption. It's only assembled in India. Okay. They refuse to tell you what part of it is made in India. YouTube is run by Google and they're playing the same dirty games out here. They're artificially boosting people like Dhruv Rathi and co.
Correct.
Completely artificial boosting. And the same fellow Vijay Nair, who runs Only Much Louder or whatever, who is illegally staying in a bungalow that was meant for a minister in Arvind Kejriwal's cabinet, was the same guy who got him his Netflix contract and things, completely aided, subsidized, whatever by this network. Okay. So this is a very close network. It's a very clearly funded network. It was good that we had somebody like Elon who comes about and creates an alternate network.
He came out of syllabus for the left.
It came out of syllabus because Manu Joseph wrote this. The left is global, the right is local. It is time we have a global right. Which is why when Elon, initially I was very uncomfortable, when Elon was interfering in Brazil or Germany or whatever. I've made my peace with it. Because the only way you can counter the global left is to make a global right. And you have to come up with a modus vivendi.
Right. And on the day of the assassination, when he was shot in the ear...
Attempted assassination.
When he had just turned his head and he had saved himself by getting shot in the ear, the first thing I want to ask is that female agent who couldn't even find her
gun.
Exactly.
And then she couldn't put it back in the holster later.
Exactly.
No, but look how many failures happened. Do you really believe the NSG couldn't... not NSG, what's it called?
Secret
Service. Couldn't figure out this guy was crawling up. There was so
that to a
much
transgender
warning.
Guy.
Yeah. And on top of that, this girl, she can't even protect him. She can't even get a gun out of her holster. Yaar, kisko -- bana rahe ho?
You can say it. He's
किसको
19.
चूतिया बना रहे हो? Sorry, in the transgender
19,
person's case, किसको चूतेक्स बना रहे हो? We should use gender neutral terms.
अभी तो वो भी खत्म हो गया अब तो.
So it's one of those things where DEI is racism. It is in your face. It is anti-white racism.
Right.
And just because they're white doesn't mean they get to have lower rights than you. Okay, you can't punish the children for what the parents did.
Of course.
The Nazis did that. It was called the Sip and Half laws.
Okay.
But the left was doing... And why do people forget? Nazi is short. Why do they keep saying Nazi and not the full term? National Socialists. They were more socialist than they were nationalists. Right. Stalin was just as nationalist as Hitler was. And he actually killed more Russians than Hitler did.
Yeah.
Mao Zedong was more Chinese nationalist than the nationalist army was, then Chiang Kai-shek was. And he ended up killing 7 times the number of Chinese that the Japanese Imperial Army killed. Okay?
Wow.
So, they bullshit you, they gaslight you across the board. And you know why so many academics fall for this?
Why?
Because they want a rational, methodical explanation of things. And the left gives you pseudo-methodicism and pseudo-rationality. And when you seek, sometimes it's just chaos, bro. Human nature is chaos.
Yeah.
People seek order and explanation and method to it. The left provides it for you. And so many academics go there because they're too stupid to understand nuance. They want a theory of everything so that they can hide their inadequacies in somebody else's theory.
Right. Second part was that after it happened and all the newspapers and all that stuff started writing about it, tweeting about it, whatever. There was no mention of him actually getting shot or attempted assassination, or even though those words were not used in any. It was said that former US president falls off stage or something like that while
Incident,
giving speech.
Taken off stage, etc., etc.
Why?
Obvious.
Cover up.
It was obvious cover up.
But why are all the newspapers against him? Like,
it's the same way, that market mein jo hua Germany mein, the guy didn't do it. The car did it.
Yeah.
Car runs over pedestrians at market. I didn't know they had automated driving I only heard about automated driving in China.
I'm surprised they didn't find a Elon Musk connection there.
Yeah,
driverless car and all that.
Exactly.
With his AI.
So, this is how dishonest these people are. And it's a cycle. When the right comes to power also, they overdo things. There's a lot of shit that the right also does. The problem is the left is extraordinary in its cruelty, but it's also extraordinary in its ability to hide and cover up things. And it's extraordinary in its ability to convince you that what they don't like is actually right-wing, even though it is extreme left.
Because they control the system, right? The media is in their hand, right? It's been there with them since decades. So
and
whatever they say is the gospel.
Why does the media and academia always go to these left-wing explanations? Because it provides some kind of theory and order to what you cannot theorize and what you cannot explain normally.
Plus a lot of money.
Money, of course.
A lot of money.
This is why they're called champagne socialists, right?
Right.
Tell me, do you know a single poor communist leader?
Not that I can think of.
Yeah.
Same here.
A quick one, I wanted to just jump in over here with presidential pardons. If you remember, I had sent you a note a month ago when we were chatting on WhatsApp. मैंने आपको एक भेजा था जिसमें presidential pardons by previous US presidents 200, 250. Somebody has like Reagan has done 200. JFK has done like 100 or this thing. Joe Biden done 8,600 and something.
He beats every president before him combined. Hollow.
No, all of them aggregately, उसका 3 गुना आप मिला लो, उससे ज़्यादा
है.
And he's pardoned his whole family, his own son, etc. Everything.
But that is the blatancy of the corruption.
So is there a way out of this? Can they be?
No, you can't, because it's an absolute. I think there should be a legislation to end the presidential pardon because it is too much of an ad hoc power that you can completely overrule all the checks and balances and procedures and legislation and just pardon somebody because you feel like it, because he's related to you, because you banged his mother. Okay?
That's it.
That's it. The kid is a bloody criminal. He's an outright criminal. He's accepted taking bribes from Ukraine. He's accepted giving those bribes to his father. He's accepted doing coke.
But pardon कर दिया, बस हो गया, खत्म.
बस खत्म.
Done. Clear.
But with people like Fauci, for what they did during COVID, for Liz Cheney, what she did to the January 6th, completely fabricated January 6th charges, the families can push a class action against her. The families should push a class action against Fauci. He may not go to jail, but you can bankrupt him.
But there is another angle to this Fauci incident where after Trump, on day one of coming into power, he said he just labeled the WHO as a world medical terrorist organization.
They are. They absolutely are.
Why do you say so?
This Dr. Death, he calls himself Dr. Ted or something, some Eritrean bastard or Ethiopian bastard, I forget. He's a Chinese stooge. He got elected He has his fingers in all this Eco Health Alliance, Peter Daszak and people like that. These WHO elections to the head of the WHO are all rigged. This same fellow, Dr. Death, was best man at the wedding who was opposing him. Naam ke vaste, din mein, you know, it is. Have you
Din
heard
mein
the
bhaiya.
story of those two carpet seller brothers who, as for the rest of the world, they were having intense competition. Each person would reduce his price by 10%. Below, there was a tunnel between the two. One brother would supply the other to increase sales. This is like that. The WHO is a complete pawn of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So all of these people, this what is this magazine called? The medical journal Lancet. Lancet, Eco Health Foundation of Peter Daszak, WHO and Dr. Death, and Bill Gates Foundation, and all these pharma companies. They all cartelize and work together. Now, if you had good intel, you would have slapped antitrust laws on them and seized all their patents. Our intel is shit because we're a third world country. But America has excellent intel. I hope he weaponizes it against the cartel activities.
Even Putin has jumped in over here and said that, why don't you extradite Fauci to us and we'll set him right. Now, is that legally possible?
Not really.
No. That's what I thought. And you have anything else to ask? Because I've got one solid final question to ask.
You go ahead.
All right. So there's one thing that I wanted to know is that having said all this and seen Trump come into power, etc. and all that, how is it going to benefit India?
Look, no marriage is perfect, right? Like every wife, no matter how good the husband is, the husband will snore at night and the bibi ka neend kharab hoga, theek hai? So no marriage is 100%, 97, 98%. ये हम बंदा हमारे पे कुछ ना कुछ tariff लगाएगा. But we have our method to sort it out, which is we say, oh no sir, let us talk about this. Don't do this. We agree. Let us sit and work out something. And then you carry on the talks for 3.5 years. By that time, president badal gaya. Okay. This is what we did the last time. That is how we avoided tariffs the last time. The other thing is you throw arms contracts at him. You buy more Poseidons, you buy more drones. I am against buying the F-35, but we might have to, but whatever. That keeps him happy. He's very transactional that way. The rest of it, all that he does helps us. Going after USAID, going after George Soros and his ugly son. I mean, have you seen that kid? He looks like a child molester.
I haven't, so I don't know.
I mean, the fellow looks like a goddamn child molester. I won't let any kid near that fellow. He literally gives me the goddamn creeps. What's his name? Alex Soros. And he's marrying that, and the wife, the fiance Huma Abedin, she was married to that guy Anthony Weiner who was flashing his schlong to everybody on.
Really?
Yeah. And she divorced him. So she knows how to pick them. If Huma Abedin picks you, you're a A grade. So, he's going to get sorted out. Omidyar has already sorted out, kind of. Bill Gates is going to go down in all these Epstein.
You really think so?
100. Bill and both the Bills, Clinton and Bill Clinton used to take Epstein's plane because it had a bed.
Acha.
Yeah. And Bill Gates is definitely going down. Like, look at Bill Gates. You look at him and he screams pedophile. How is it the left has this preponderance of pedophiles?
Yeah, I was coming to, actually, I wanted to ask you that what is the fetish with
because the left was invented by pedophiles. You look at people like Foucault. Foucault was one of the biggest child rapists of the last century. He went to America and he could get away having a nice French accent and all of that. We discussed this, remember the 66
Right. We talked about it in the last podcast also.
And so the left is on a perpetual mission to induct pedophiles in their ranks, like Alex Soros and Bill Gates, and to normalize pedophilia. So one of the things about DEI was trying to normalize pedophilia. People who are attracted to, minor attracted people, what was the term for it?
They had very flowery terms for it.
Yeah.
To hide and gaslight people.
Exactly. And you've seen what's happened in Britain. Poor girls 9 to 11 to 12 were raped, gang raped, torture raped. Nothing has happened to them. Nothing has happened to the police officials who covered it up. Nothing has happened to any of the officials who covered it up. The left are goddamn criminals. If you see a left winger and a scorpion, don't kill the scorpion. The scorpion is a sweet animal. But the leftist immediately.
So last question. Do you think the Epstein list is going to be out?
Of course it is.
You think Trump has the balls to release it?
Of course.
You're sure?
Boss, it is the goddamn nuclear bomb he's going to explode on the Democrat headquarters.
So I wanted to ask regarding Trump that the main counter that people have been using that like they elected him was that he himself is a criminal. He's done all these rapes and all that stuff. So what do you have to say to the people who are
No. All of these people had consensual sex with him
Mm.
and then started extorting money from him.
With the Me Too movement. They came
With the
about
Me
with the
Too
Me Too
movement.
movement.
His felony conviction is what? The felony conviction is that the hush money, which incidentally Bill Clinton has also paid several of these women, wasn't done from your personal finances. It was done from business campaign finances, which shouldn't have been used for it. And even that, there is a big gaping hole in it.
That's the felony.
Right. But you tell me, if he had actually done rape for all the lawfare he has faced in the last 4 years, you think it wouldn't have come out?
Right.
It hasn't. Does he sleep around? Sure. Is he cheating on his wife? Sure. Or maybe he was. Isn't anymore. But sure. वो क्या उसमें गलत क्या बात क्या है? You know, we're derived from chimpanzees. Okay. Have you seen chimpanzees have very active sexual lives?
Okay.
Everyone has multiple sexual partners.
Okay. I don't know this, but
Yeah, it's
go
true.
on.
The gorilla, on the other hand, which is the biggest of the great apes, has a very tiny this thing. You know why? Because he maintains a harem. The gorilla female stays very loyal to only one male in its entire thing. The chimpanzees have huge. Why? Because they fertilize anything and everything they meet.
Okay.
Okay, now we are closest to we're not from chimpanzees, but we have a common ancestor. So we do chimpanzee behavior. If a man cheats,
Yeah.
and for that matter, if a woman cheats, because remember, in chimpanzees, it is not just the men cheating, it's the women also cheating. Cheating, if you want to call it that. It's accept it, it's human nature. Yeah,
You mean chimpanzee nature?
it's human nature, bro.
What he's saying is that
Why do you
Yeah,
think?
I know,
why
I
do you
know.
think we came up with this institution of marriage? It is precisely to regulate animal behavior. Because the people who invented marriage, शादी के पहले क्या होता था? पहला शादी जब हुआ, उसके पहले सब बास्टर्ड थे. हाँ, सबके सब तो बास्टर्ड थे उसके पहले. Love child, as we call them, polite language. So what happens out there? You accept that human beings are promiscuous creatures. Homo sapien is a promiscuous creature. Now, if you can keep it in your pants or your skirt or whatever, congratulations to you. But don't expect it from everyone. You want to create the societal norms to do it? Sure, like marriage, do it. But punishing people for adultery and nonsense like that, give me a break.
Right. Makes sense.
So finally, as you mentioned that, Trump is going to have the balls to release the Epstein list. I'm going to पहले से मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ कि जैसे ही वो होगा, we have to do a podcast.
Yeah, of course we're going to do a podcast.
We have to get into that list in detail.
Yeah.
And before signing off, I just want to say I love the hair.
Thank you.
It's beautifully grown.
Thank you.
In a very short
And-
time.
and-
And I
and
don't
you
know
know-
what you did.
And when we do that podcast, the Epstein list podcast, we won't do it in this Manchester United room.
It's
We'll
not a
do
match. It's Arsenal.
Arey, stop
You're-
lying. Yeah,
you're
it's a
insulting
Manchester-
us.
It's Manchester United.
No, it's Arsenal. It's pure
सब
Arsenal.
Manchester United. उधर देखो बेकम का पोर्ट्रेट.
नहीं वो घंटा बेकम. It's Bergkamp.
नहीं वो बेकम का पोर्ट्रेट है. हाँ, this Manchester United room. और ये so we will do it up with all of Epstein's many friends. A-lister friends.
Is A-list. Done. But thank you once again for taking the time out and coming in like a tufan and going out like a tufan. And looking forward to the next podcast on the Epstein list.
I'm always looking forward to talking to the two of you. Thank you.
Likewise.
Cheers, guys.